Hello and welcome to Into Form. Thank you for being here playing on planet Earth. I'm Jimmy,
I'm Paul.
and today we felt like talking about a good old topic that's near and dear to our hearts, the the world of video games and our
Mm.
experience with that. Before and like as children and Paul, when did you first come in contact? When did you first start experiencing video games? What was that like for you?
I remember the moment distinctly. I was 6 years old, and we were at a pool party. I believe it was my birthday. So it was like a pool party for my turning six, and I didn't have anything to play video games with or any video games, and I got a Game Boy Color for that birthday, and which is like I think that's the oldest Game Boy.
It's
And like now, like if you looked at a Game Boy Color nowadays compared to the consoles and devices that we have, it looks like ancient, you know.
yeah.
And then my first game, which came with it, which was given to me at the same time, was Blue version, Pokemon Blue version, and it had the Blastoise, the turtle Pokemon on the cover. I can just see it so clearly in my head. Changed my life, dude. Changed my
Yeah.
life.
What did it do for you?
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel like as a kid? Like, what do you like? What were you experiencing as a kid when in that
Oh
world?
my God. Yeah, it was well, like, okay, so for me, I feel like my imagination has always been very strong, and I've always loved like fantasy and adventure. And I've always loved adventure so much.
Mm.
And when I was playing, I mean, other video games too that came after, but I just remember being in that world, and it's like you're living vicariously through that character that you're playing. You know, it's like you're having their journey, like you're reading a book, and you feel like kind of you're going along the story with the character. But in the video game, you're kind of creating too. You have a more of a creator role than in a book, whereas you don't get to decide what happens.
Mm.
In Pokemon, you get to pick all your team and go around the world wherever you want to go, and so you're kind of a controller creator. And anyway, I mean, I loved the adventure part of it. You know, I felt like I was creating that adventure, and just having like a whole another life basically within my real life.
Mm.
But like at 6 years old, I don't know any more fun that I could have had than go experience that whole virtual world. I mean, it was kind of like drugs for a 6 year old. It was just such a trip,
Like,
you know. I it was such a trip, man. It's so
yeah,
weird
I
to
get
think
it.
about now because it all happened on, it was really like physically you're just looking at that screen, right? And you're pressing some buttons, but what's happening in your mind and your emotions is like a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stimulation, and yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was like it gave you an outlet to jump into your imaginative self, but in a way that was very distinctively like another world that you could be in. I think for longer than other periods. It's like if you were
Mm,
to jump into your imagination, you were playing outside at some point. Like that ends when it's like time for dinner, and you probably
mhm,
never come back to that story, that same exact story. But with Pokemon, you were able to like jump back in, jump back in, and jump back in
mhm,
that world. And yeah, I love what you said. Like on the like, it's not much is happening, but as a child, like there's so much happening in the inner world. There's like so much stimuli and experience and excitement. And even just hearing you speak, I'm like reminded of how exciting like video games are and
uh,
were. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like hearing your excitement and just sharing about it. It's like, yeah, there was so much excitement. Like what was a kid? Yeah, how can you have more fun as a 6 year old than in that world of Pokemon? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, um, it was like drugs, man. It was like
Yeah, I get it.
and I experienced kind of it was kind of addictive. That's why I say it was like drugs too, because I had to. as I got older, I had to be careful how much time I spent on there. And as a kid, I mean, it was my parents helped me out with that too, because as a kid, I didn't want to stop. I just want to play it
Yeah.
and play it and play it and play it
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
hours, being immersed in that world. Um, so yeah, I kind of had to regulate that until it fell away, but that was much later.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So
you had to be cautious of how much it was consuming your life because it did have an addictive tendency for you.
yeah, yeah. But as a kid, I mean, I didn't have any of these concepts. I
Yeah,
didn't
you
like
just
concept
jumped
of
in.
addiction, and there wasn't as much self judgments because you don't have those as a kid,
Hmm.
so I didn't think of it in any of these terms, and it wasn't even really a problem as a kid. Like it would be a problem if I was an adult spending, an unhealthy amount of time playing a video game. But uh, yeah, as a kid, I didn't really have any responsibilities or things I had to do. My parents took care of me, so it wasn't a problem. You know,
It was like kids play with toys, and I feel like that's like
yeah,
our generation got to have video games as our toy in a lot of ways,
yeah,
just like playing with
yeah.
a really really amazing toy.
It was it was the greatest toy ever.
Yeah, but I think that's funny, like right, because then it wouldn't have a problem until it becomes into adult life, and then in adult life, like how long can we keep playing with our toys? As a way
Yeah.
to, and I think it's like, yeah, like you said, you didn't have responsibility, and then as an adult, like there's more responsibility that comes. There's things that we need to show up for, and I know in my life, like
Yeah.
I've definitely video games as I've gone into my adult life have been very much in the way of me showing up fully for a responsibility. It's been like an
Mm.
easy access to avoid a responsibility. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't want to do that responsibility. Let me just jump into this like little video game world for a bit.
Mm.
And that addiction and access to avoid responsibility has been something that I've definitely had to look at. And video games haven't really fallen away from me until recently. Like it's been very recent that they've fallen away. I feel like I've actually had a lot of challenge and struggle um,
Mm.
with that experience of like letting go of video games um, in the past few years.
Mm. Mm. Uh, and some people like it's like um, for whatever reasons it's really important for them. One of my friends in college like played. Um, and I want to get back to like more of our history with it because I feel like there's a lot more to explore there. But
Fun thing there, yeah.
I'm just thinking like one of my friends in college, a really good friend. We're still in touch, so he's still a really good friend. Um, would play Super Smash Brothers and was like
Mhm.
really, really good at it, like world competitive level
Mhm.
kind of good. And so it was like really playing a significant role in his life. And I feel like from my perspective, I wouldn't say that that was supposed to not be there. You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah.
getting a lot of value out of that. And for some people, like maybe they become designers of video games or
Mhm.
they're helping in the creative process of making them, or it just brings them a lot of joy, and like if it brings you a lot of joy, like play it, like I
Yeah.
don't care how old you are, if it's bringing you joy, what, and it's not unhealthy, or you can minimize the whatever um sorry, let's see, whatever unhealthy effects it might be having on your life, you can minimize those, then I think you should play it
Well,
you know
I appreciate that. I think that's the like yeah, minimizing any unhealthy effects, and then letting yourself experience like the pureness of the joy and the beauty of it. Um, I feel like that's oh, there's a lot to say there. I want to really appreciate, yeah, like yeah, there's a lot of people who have taken video games into their life as careers, like the amount of YouTubers that are creating like video game content, and then I love it because it's a huge market on YouTube. Like a lot of people love watching people play video games, and then you get these very bright and vibrant YouTubers a lot of the time. Like Ninja comes to mind, who's like a very popular Fortnite YouTuber. He
mm,
was a very like loving, at least seemingly in like my brief experience, I've experienced him as like loving and kind and like giving supportive advice to like to his followers, and just very loved and very loving. And it's like wow, he created a platform to like share love, by playing video games. Very cool. very special, you know. And yeah, some people go into designing them, and like, I mean, the artistry of designing these like worlds that we can play through is brilliant. um and yeah, for me personally, it's like, yeah, it's been managing that addiction. I've noticed, like, in my, you know, in the past 6 months, where the addiction hasn't been as consuming whatsoever, or as uh, 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 what's the word you use, hurtful, harmful,
Hmm.
um,
Unhealthy.
unhealthy, yeah, where it's been
Yeah.
healthier. And it's like, the healthier it's got, the more enjoyable it's actually been, which has been really nice to see that experience too, where I can pop in for like an hour almost nostalgically and have this like beautiful experience that just feels like
Hmm.
really creative and magical and special and unique. And I also feel myself like moving further and further, like there's just other things that are more and more interesting to me nowadays. um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like for most of my life, that was like that was the most interesting thing there was. Like the most exciting thing there
Hmm.
was what's the latest video game, and what am I playing now, you know. And yeah, because I feel like it was
Yeah.
just so much fun, like so, like wildly fun for me.
Okay, so yeah, let me ask you, because that's where I feel my intuition's like that's where the pocket of aliveness is like let's go to that.
Mm.
Um, what were I guess what was the game that had the biggest impact on you and why?
That's a good question. I feel like had the biggest impact on me, probably BioShock 2. Are you familiar with the BioShock series at all?
I'm not.
Yeah,
Tell me.
it was like a first person shooter where you played in this underground. There's BioShock and BioShock 2. I played them both. You played in this underground, uh, under like not even underground, underwater city called Rapture, which is this like, it was designed to be this beautiful city meant for like scientists and inventors and creators to come and um, create freely in. And it ends up like turning decrepit and like became, you know, it like
Hmm.
it screwed up. You know, like they didn't do it
Hmm.
right, and it turned into like this. It's kind of scary, like it's like this horror kind of environment, and it's freaky and creepy, and but I loved it. I just ate it up, and there was something about
Uh,
this environment that just felt so like I couldn't get enough of it. Like I couldn't get enough of this environment, and I was never really into like dark things. I was never into scary stuff or horror stuff. I never liked Halloween. You know, I wasn't into that kind of stuff. But there was this city under the sea was just such a captivating idea, you know.
oh yeah.
And the gameplay was great. The gameplay was fun, but I feel like it really impacted me because it was later in life. I found out that the game design was heavily influenced by Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged,
Oh yeah.
which
Yeah,
later in life
yeah.
became an incredibly influential book for me.
Huh.
And so it was weird to like when I realized that, like the way those things tied into my life. um, and for me, it's been like the motivation of creating community, of creating community, and the vision of having a space for community to coexist and to strive and thrive together has always been it's been like the most important part of my catalyst into spiritual life. It has been like that's been like the backbone motivation to
Hmm.
pretty much everything I've generated in my spiritual life, has been the desire to have community, creating consciously together. And
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of that started with BioShock, like a lot of that that being in that city under the sea of Rapture that was designed for a community of people to be creating together with no limits, no laws, no government regulation, like this
Hmm.
special city for intelligent people to be creating. And they didn't do it also service to others and consciously, and then that kind of crumbled it, you know. But
Yeah. There's a kind of a spiritual lesson in that, but
yeah.
I get that really spoke to your soul, that environment and the community part of it. And I wonder if it being under the sea kind of did it feel safe for you? Like, like you're under the water, there's like a sense of safety and seclusion in that.
You know, it's weird. It's like, yeah, and in some ways it did, because the game is very unsafe, right? Like, like there's like sometimes
Yeah.
like there's like holes in the walls, and there's water pouring in, right? Because it's like broken down and old at this point, and there's like they call them splicers. There's like drug addicts that are like all decrepit and messed up that try to kill you all the time. So it's like very unsafe. It's a very unsafe city.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that, because part of me definitely felt very safe. Like I
get
felt,
that.
especially like BioShock 2 came at a time in my life when it was like right at the time where I first started experiencing like bullying in school.
Yeah.
So it was like
Which
when
we both experienced. It's both
yeah,
of us. Yeah.
and I felt like this world. Yeah, it's so funny because the game like it shouldn't make you feel safe. But when you said that, I was like, yeah, maybe that's why I
Yeah.
have such a deep love for this game, and have gone back and like played it time and time and time again. I played this game so many times.
Oh yeah.
And it's probably because it was a safe haven for me. This game, like this world, was a safe haven from experiencing my uh, fifth grader, sixth grader depression.
Yeah. Man, that's so interesting. I'm just realizing again how many things we have in common. It's it's astounding. Just as a side note, maybe we'll cover this in another episode. But I learned recently that bullying, like people experience bullying in school, it can actually be traumatic. Like like I mean, people go to therapy for trauma from bullying, and I thought about that and like reflected on what I'd heard about it. And some people get bullied so much that they take their life, like cyberbullying, and like kids just get harassed so badly. And I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Like there's a trauma spectrum
Yeah.
to that. Some people get it worse than others, but even if you get it a little bit as a kid, because you don't have you're just so vulnerable in a way, and you'll just take in what other people say so easily. Man, you can really get hurt by other people's words, and also the emotion that they're sending with those words, the energy of rejection and trying to put you down that they're sending with those words. That can really damage your heart. So yeah, I didn't mean to get into this in our episode about
Yeah, I mean,
about
totally.
video games, but
Well, and I
yeah,
think it's important because it does tie in, because I feel like a lot of people, it wasn't
yeah,
just me. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of kids who are bullied, video games is their escape. Like video games is the world where they feel safe. It's the world where
yeah,
it's the world where they have control. Like that. I think that's something that the video game does, is it puts you in the seat of the play. Like it gives you control. You're literally holding what we call a controller. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
are
yeah,
we are controlling the controller. Like we're even more in power. Um, and I feel like that creates a lot of safety for youth who are feeling out of control in their lives, like if they're being abused in their families, or if they're being abused at school by their peers.
mm-hmm.
And it makes sense that bullying is traumatic, because like we call it bullying, but what is that? It's abuse from our peers. That's what it is. It's being abused.
Yeah,
It's being abused by our peers.
yeah,
Um, and 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 yeah, it's like it. And I've personally known, I knew somebody who was a grade younger than me that I went to school with, who was like I did a lot of theater in high school. This person also did theater. I was never particularly close to them, and
mm-hmm.
a few years into their college life, they killed themselves. And I knew this person to be somebody that was bullied. I knew this person to be somebody that like was not like fully accepted by like the totality of his peers.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I ever necessarily, to my recollection, like did anything negative towards this person. But
mm-hmm.
I recently, not that long ago, was reflecting on this, and he had killed himself several years ago at this point. And I was reflecting not too long ago on this, that I was feeling guilty. Like I was feeling guilty for not, for like not showing up, you know? Like I was
Like
feeling,
you could have done something to make a difference with him.
yeah, like I could have done
Yeah,
something to save that life, when I was,
mm.
and yeah, there was a level of like heavy responsibility that hit me. And I'm feeling into that right now, where I still feel like that. I feel that weighty responsibility, where as a youthful person, I could have showed up more potently for others.
It's very noble. It's very noble of you. Yeah, what's coming to me now is it's amazing how much of that suffering can be held on the inside and not necessarily expressed to others. You know, we have a way of being isolated from other people and not sharing our suffering, and it's so important to, because somebody can be going through something like that, and the people around them aren't necessarily aware that they're dealing with that. You know, it's like we were saying in our last video too. Refer to the last video, people. It's like we we're saying there that we need to talk about our pain because we're living in a world of people that are scared to talk about it. We're all scared to talk about our pain, you know. But we've all been hurt so much, really is the truth. So yeah, so we need to encourage, I think, a culture of sharing that, particularly with bullying. I mean, in all areas for sure, but with bullying too, because it can cut so deeply, you know, and the person who gets wounded like that doesn't um, sometimes know how to, you know, but they are dealing with it even when other people around them aren't necessarily aware of it.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
importance of creating a safe space for others to share what's happening for them, and
yeah,
creating a culture of openly sharing ourselves and sharing our pain, even if it's
mm-hmm,
brutal.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, that was a little that was a little turn from
That was
video
quite a
games.
turn. Yeah, it was very unexpected. But you know
Yeah.
what I've been thinking about too, Jimmy, is um, because we have phone calls in between these videos. For viewers watching, I
This is
actually
the
talked to
only time we
Jimmy
connect.
outside of these videos. I actually have a relationship with him outside of these videos. But yeah, it's becoming more clear to me that there's some kind of like things unfold in an intelligent way. That's not, you know, our minds aren't guiding how it's unfolding necessarily. It's as if it's being guided by something beyond that. You know what I'm saying? When we're putting our intention into this, and we're like, we want to create something that is helpful to other people, we hope, but also expresses what we really feel in our hearts, you know, and what seems true to us. When we do it with that positive intention, it's like we're calling something in, you know, and it's like something is like, we're going to help this unfold in a certain way. And so all of that to say that I think, you know, when we start off talking about video games, but then the conversation turns into one about bullying and the hurt that people experience in school, it's like, maybe those are more connected than I thought, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm seeing here personally, is
Yeah.
how connected those two things actually are. You know,
Mm,
how connected it was in my life, and I'm like connecting to like like one of the games that had the biggest impact on me that I've loved. You know what I mean? More than any, literally loved more than any other game. Like had such a intoxication and love for, like a real genuine sweetness, and that like that game, I probably had so much love for it because I was bullied. Like like that's like probably
mm.
it feels true to me that there's a real direct correlation there.
Which game was that?
Bioshock, being
Oh,
Bioshock.
that was BioShock. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
that game, like I think I cultivated so much love because it came to me right at a time where I was being bullied, and it took me into a world where I didn't have to, where I felt safe, and I felt in control, and I did where I didn't feel in control or safe in my everyday environment. And it was also when I was getting older, so it was like when I was resisting my like uh, my father more, and that didn't create good situations, you know.
mm, mm.
It was like, yeah, it was one of the, I didn't feel very safe at that time in my life anywhere except for that game.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that. Like I'm very grateful that I've actually had the thought sometimes that I wonder if I didn't have video games in my life, would I be here today? I have that thought, and it's very real for me. That
Mm,
I don't know if I didn't have that safe space to to kind of escape my own reality and feel safe and having fun, like really enjoy. There was a period of dark times in my life where I that I feel like that was the only light, the only like savior was video games.
hmm. Was that was where you experienced joy happiness and feelings of safety and
Mhm.
yeah,
Play
basically
and
positive
creativity.
feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the light. That was the light at those times for you,
Yeah.
when there was darkness in a lot of the rest of your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that was the light.
Oh man, that's cool. I'm getting chills right now. I love that. Like I'm thinking of because it wasn't just with video games, but with like reading the Harry Potter books when I was growing up.
Mhm.
It's like pocket of light, and when I would go into that book, it was just the light coming into me. You know what I'm saying? And um, I feel like that's what good art can do for people in general of any age. But man, for kids, for kids when they're growing up on this planet, and it can be so hard. Like man, when that light can get into them, it can be like you said, it's a savior for you. You
Mhm.
know.
Feels that way.
Mm. Yeah, for me it was like a beacon. Yeah, like also a light, very much a light,
Mhm.
um, like a beacon of truth. Yeah, like this is because I would get the sense engaging with this stuff, this fantastical works of creativity that this is what's possible. Like there's so much to life, and I can feel it even when it's not being reflected in the world around me. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't living with this sense of inspiration and love that I feel when I'm reading this book or playing this game. You know what I'm saying? But it's there. It's there. I can feel it. I can feel it in that game. I can feel it in the book, or in the really good movie. I can feel that light, so I know it's possible. So it was kind of a beacon for me too.
I really love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, even though if you didn't see it anywhere else in life, the fact that you saw it in the Harry Potter series, or saw
Yeah.
it in Pokemon, it's like,
Yeah.
you knew it was there. You knew it was like available. Uh, and like how much does that set you up for success on the path you're on, right? Like if what if you didn't have those beacons of light? Like, would you be able to so openly like trust that the spirit is there for you?
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
you've pursued the path of finding spirit.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Yeah. Um, okay. So yeah, I'm going to share something that's a little bit out there. But you know what? We talk about things on these videos that are out there anyway. So like,
Mm.
who cares at this point? But I remember, you know, uh, when it was a few years ago. I think it was 2018, and I'd met this guy named Joshua, who you know as well, and he connects with beings from the other side, angels and ascended masters, and he's essentially a voice for them to share their perspective with us. And I've been to some of those events, and um, in the winter of 2018, 17 actually. I was at one of those, and it was a very profound moment for me when one of them told me that every step in my life had been taken perfectly. Every step in my life had been taken perfectly, and I looked back, like I could just feel the energy of that message, right? And I looked back on my life, and it was like everything that I judged, you know everything that I thought, like, surely I must have been going on the wrong path there. That must have been a deviation. I must have fallen astray there. I just felt like, no, there's a perfection to all of it. And it included playing all the video games. It included all the books that I read that I thought, Atlas Shrugged was one of them. I thought, oh man, that the philosophy in that book, that must have been, you know, that must have negatively affected me spiritually, right? But I could feel, no, no, it was all part of it. And they were like rungs on a ladder that each one was helping me to climb higher. Um, and I feel like all of us have our own version of that. If we look back on our life, it's actually not the way it seems to the mind, because the mind is like, I've gone into these, I've had my pitfalls, and places where I've gone off the path. But actually, from a different point of view or a higher point of view, it's all perfect. There's a perfection kind of underlying all of it. and there's something guiding you. So yeah, I wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Wow. Yeah, I love that. Like getting that message from spirit that every step you've taken has been perfect, and to really
Mm-hmm.
reflect on like, yeah, down to every piece of media that you've intaked, every book that you've read, every game that you've played, everything has supported you some way, somehow, and moving that next step closer to God, further on the path. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful and special, and it makes me feel grateful and less ashamed. I found, yeah, shame in like the media that I've been taken, but why,
Yeah.
and every step is perfect and it's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, when we can see our life without those judgments, it's like when we can take that stuff out of our eyes, we can see the beauty, and the light in all that we've experienced, and all that we're currently experiencing. But we just have to take that out of our eyes, so we can see clearly, like this has been a gift. All of this is a gift.
Yeah. Aho, and so it is. Oh, this is a gift.
Mm.
That's I think a good way to close this, because we are at good timing, even though
Woo.
I know this video feels like it
It went really quick.
really, really quick, really, really, really quick. Because we're talking about video games.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into what, because I was imagining we were going to share a lot about, what the ones that we'd really enjoyed, and I guess we did share, like we each shared one each, but there's so much there to mine, you know.
I could talk about this for forever. You know what I mean? There's so much to experience, and there was a lot of things I wanted to say about video games that I didn't, um, and but I love what we did talk about, and I love what we captured, and
Yeah.
and I think really it got us to that everything's a gift, and that everything's perfect, and every piece of anything we intake, whether we just deem it or judge it as just like mindless media, is still something that's supporting us on our path.
Mm.
And I love that. I'm just like finding myself summarizing right now. Yeah, like the management of addiction, like just making sure
Hmm.
that we can intake anything as long as we're intaking it healthily.
Mm.
And then the importance of bully awareness, and the importance
Mm.
of creating safe spaces for kids to feel safe and warm, because they may not be feeling that everywhere in their life.
Yeah. Yep.
A
Thanks
lot of
for
folks,
the summary,
yeah.
recapturing the main themes.
The main thing is just want to throw out there. Hey,
Here's the terrain we've covered.
when we make the description this week, we'll just come to the we'll just
Yeah, we'll just skip
watch
to
this
this
last
part.
minute. Just write everything I just said.
Yeah, or if you don't want to watch the episode, you can just skip to this part.
Yeah, just get the essence. With that being said, thank you all for watching and being with us. And
Hmm.
let us know in the comments what video games impacted you the most in your life. If you played video games at all, or if you have
Hmm.
children that play video games, like what's been your experience with them playing video games, and managing that as a parent. I'm very curious to hear,
Yeah.
because I know that's a big thing in a lot of people's lives nowadays. So
Yeah, or about bullying, or really anything that you want to share about in the comments. We
yeah,
appreciate your comments. So
yeah, anything you want to say,
please share.
we'd like to talk to you. Thank you. And thank you,
Yeah, and
Paul. This has been good.
yeah, thank you, Jimmy.
Mm.
I appreciate you, and thanks for being with us, audience members.
Mm. Mm. Love to all.
Mm.